Traders, what is going on? So let's talk about zones. Let's talk about how you draw them, what are they, how to trade off them. I've got the question a number of times, so I decided to just go ahead and make a video, do a quick one. If y'all are digging it, we can circle back and do something a little bit more expansive. But yeah, let's jump in. So what are zones? Zones are pivots. They are rejection ranges, right? It is areas where the price action becomes unstable and tends to reject and pivot, right? So price action moves kind of freely in here, but you notice when it gets to a zone, it chops. Another way to think of it kind of on a more fundamental level is these are areas that there's a higher concentration of positions being held, right? So this is an area that people think is a good range to short. People thought it was support over here, but this demand zone quickly broke down and became supply over here, right? So it's rejecting. But again, circling back to what I was saying, if there's a lot of people that think this is a good area to short in, when this range is broken, and especially when said range gets back tested and shows support, this supply zone has been flipped to demand now. People that were short in here are underwater over here now, and a lot of people over here in this range, maybe even over in here, that were short from here, they're getting stopped, liquidated, closing, scaling out of said positions, and this is at a mass level. This is, retail, whales, you know, lots of money in these different areas. Now, how do you draw them? Well, we just talked about it, right? Pivots, rejection ranges. So these things pretty much draw themselves. You just have to look back. I try not to look back much farther than 2-3 weeks. I put higher bearings, or I weight higher data that's more recent than, data from weeks ago, right? Because there's a higher likelihood of, that concentration of positions we were talking about still being there. This was a range over here, but I'm pretty sure that if you were short over here, you probably closed in here, right? So it's good to recognize that these coincide, but again, I put more bearings on or more weight on the more recent data than I do older data. Again, where do you draw these things? Pivots, rejection ranges, pre-market high, pre-market low, gap down areas. I mean, notice this gap on SPX. No coincidence there, right? It was a failed gap fill. Curl up test, rejected on Thursday, and just got obliterated at open on Monday thanks to PAL. But another way of thinking about it is where do the wicks interact, right? So if you look in this range, whether it's on the 10 or 30 minute, let's go to the 10. And once again, we'll keep using this as an example because it's a good one. You have price action breaking down, finding support here. Bulls lose this level, we fall down to the next one, and it's continually rejected as it's tested. So this was demand, now it's supply, right? Vice versa. Bears lose, bulls win for now, a day or two, right? Flips, validates, and we're off. We're not going to talk about scaling or position sizing or anything like that. I assume that you already have a strategy for that. But like I said, if you dig this stuff, we can do another video and dig into it a little bit deeper and touch on that too. But on a basic level, this is how demand and supply zones work. So when we're in a demand zone that's validated, you would go for calls. And the goal, the first price target at least would be to sell and supply. So you would be scaling out or completely closing your position, maybe scaling in here and then getting stopped on the last one as that zone breaks down. But that's the goal. You're buying calls in demand and you're selling calls or closing your calls rather in supply. And if you're trying to trade both sides, you notice that, hey, well, but you notice, hey, this is a supply zone has been, validating since last Monday pretty much in the after hours. That was the after hours high. Also a pre-market high, open high, it's been validated, right? So you could say, well, hell, if we get up into supply, not only am I going to close my calls, but I'm buying puts, and you catch the backside down. Could it fall further than this point? Sure. But all you know is that tends to turn around from up here, tends to curl up from down here, right? So that means opportunity is in here. Everything above that is FOMO and uncertainty. So you get puts, you write it down, you start to see support around that zone, even in that zone, you close. And that's when you start considering, hey, do I really feel like flipping again and going for calls? And you certainly could have. Maybe not here. Maybe you would have waited for that. But if you missed this and were a little bit hesitant, you see it show support in the demand zone, jumps out, touches again, good old high or low, and you're off to the races. And you could trade it right back up to that zone, which is where it ended up getting snuffed out at. You have to be really careful about what is break and base, what is a back test, because this is not that. Okay, this is just barely getting above. Let's find a good example of it on a different day. So here is what I would consider a break and base for bulls. So you have a zone that has validated in the past as supply. We break said zone, even manage to go up and touch the next zone, not required. But we break, we're basing, and now this zone that's projected in the past is starting to show support. That's what I'm talking about when I'm saying, buy a back test. Sometimes it's a lot quicker than that, but this is a scenario where, hey, I thought you said this is supply. This is where I'm supposed to get puts. I mean, it is until it isn't. If it breaks, and then that zone that was shorted starts to show support, guess what? It's probably demand now. And booyakasha, we're flying, right? So, yeah. I don't make the rules. I just interpret what's going on in these different areas and try to make money while I do it. So, I don't know, man. This video has already gone longer than it should have. Hit the thing, do the stuff, follow me on the stuff and things. I draw these every single day and throw them in Discord and on Twitter. Streams live every day, so you guys don't miss news. Yes. Love you guys. Let me know in the down there if you want more. I'm out.